best. That's the best the American League has to offer. That is the best the American League has to offer. It's not good enough for this wagon. Welcome on into the PHNXDbacks podcast. Happy National Pina Day to one guy and one guy only, of course, maybe to all of you with your fake purple hair. But of course, welcome on into the PHNXDbacks podcast. My name is Derek Montilla, formerly known as mayor of this joint. This guy next to me is your Thunderstick. He also has a fire-ass closer character now, thanks to Damon on MLB The Show. It's Jesse Friedman.
Yeah, closer me apparently throws 99.
He has an immaculate inning. It was amazing.
And has both a changeup and a splitter, which is fascinating.
It's just excessive,
and
but
I have
unnecessary.
a slurve.
And a slurve, yeah. Four-seam fastball, slurve, circle change, and yeah.
That's a pretty complete arsenal for a closer.
It's really
pumping
wild.
99, like that's pretty crazy.
It's fun to watch, but this team, this Arizona Diamondbacks team, also very fun to watch. Maybe not that second inning for Zac Gallen so much, but the rest of the team was an absolute vibe all night long. The Diamondbacks absolutely celebrated, by the way, National Pineapple Day by giving out purple wigs selectively to people. They don't have the commitment that this guy's got, though. If I would have known that there were going to be wigs, I maybe wouldn't have made such a permanent decision when it came to this. But we're not sure what broke Zac Gallen there in the second inning, but he definitely broke for a period of time. Luckily, somebody reset the router, unplugged Zac, plugged him back in, and he got back online. But there was a moment there where it looked like Zac Gallen literally could not throw the baseball competitively anymore.
Yeah, it was absolutely bizarre. That second inning, it went walk, double walk. So you had the bases loaded with nobody out. And it was like, all right, well, this isn't it. I mean, the D-backs just put up 5 runs in the top.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the offense, but we were ready to chalk this one up as a win already after the first inning.
Yeah, it was a weird way for Zac to respond. He just wasn't really throwing strikes. He didn't have a feel for his curveball or his changeup at all in that inning. So it's the bases loaded with nobody out. And then he throws a wild pitch, and you're like, okay, well, that's a little weird. Granted, Gabby Moreno, I don't think at his best day behind the plate. I don't think it's 100% Zac's fault necessarily, but he throws one wild pitch, makes it second and third, 1 run scores. And he throws another wild pitch in the same at bat, and then you've got a runner at third, nobody out, and all the Rays had done at that point themselves was hit a double. Other than that, it was 2 walks, 2 wild pitches. Talk about just handing the other team runs.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it just kind of continued to snowball from there. They scored another run on a ground out. And then there was a solo home run that somehow got out of the ballpark. It felt like the ball was really flying at Chase Field tonight, which was weird.
It really was, because it looked like it was a high pop-up, and it did not look like it was going to make it that far.
Going and going and going. Yeah. It was really weird. That was off the bat of Jose Siri. But yeah, so that made it a 5-4 game, and you figured like, oh, well, that bottom of the first was fun, but here we are back to reality. It's the Tampa Bay Rays. It's probably going to be a dogfight the rest of the way, and it really wasn't. The D-backs just sort of took control through the rest of this game and won 8-4.
Most importantly, Zac Gallen got back on track, and despite that second inning kind of being all over the place, we did see Zac adapt and be able to be effective once again. When we got this question recently on Mailbag Monday, where we were asked, like, what do you guys mean when a guy doesn't have his best stuff? What do you mean when you say he doesn't have a feel for his pitches? What we saw in that second inning was kind of that with Zac Gallen, right? Like, he is trying to throw his other pitches. He's trying to throw his knuckle curve. He's trying to throw a changeup, but those pitches aren't working. They're not working. And not only are they not working, they're not effectively getting even across the plate, and they're a problem. So we saw Zac Gallen pretty much in this game after that second inning completely abandon his arsenal of pitches outside of the cutter and the fastball, the 4-seam fastball.
Yeah.
He did mix in still his changeup and the knuckle curve like every once in a while, but when you look at his Baseball Savant page from that second inning on, it's just a whole lot of cutter and 4-seam fastball. So Zac did his best to kind of shift gears in this game when what he was trying to do wasn't working. And he found something that did, because you take out that second inning and Zac Gallen goes five innings, gives up like 3 hits and no other runs besides that. All of the runs that he allowed were in that inning. His line ends up looking not great, but 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 4 runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Much better than we thought we were going to see potentially out of him, which to start this important series against a team like the Rays was going to really put the Diamondbacks in a bad position.
I think you just came into this game just assuming that if the Diamondbacks lost, it wasn't really going to be because of Zac Gallen, right? Like,
very true.
Maybe he wasn't going to dominate, but I mean, the man is 7-0 with a 1.00 ERA, or that's what he was at home coming into this series. So he's been basically robotic at Chase Field, just the way he's pitched in that first inning, right? It was, I think it was a 7 or 8 pitch first inning. You feel like, here we go, Zac Gallen just going to cruise through another game. But yeah, it was another one where he kind of had to fight through. As you said, his pitch mix was weird in this game. He really didn't have a feel for the knuckle curve or the changeup early on, and he kind of ditched them through the middle innings. And like you said, it was just a bunch of fastballs and cutters. Then he did kind of mix in the changeup and the curveball after that point, just to make sure that there was some variety there. But yeah, this is who Zac Gallen is. I mean, when he doesn't have his best stuff, which it feels like he basically never has this season, he's still able to find ways to get around that. And today it was the cutter. It was a pitch that we haven't really seen used in that role a whole lot, but it was effective for him. And at the end of the day, 4 whiffs on the cutter, 7 whiffs on the fastball, 14 whiffs total. Pretty decent Zac Gallen outing, even if it wasn't his best start overall.
What a metaphor for this team as a whole that is Zac Gallen, right? Because when you say that, Zac Gallen got his 10th win of the season today. He is on pace to win over 20 games this season. And honestly, there are times where Zac Gallen just finds a way to do it, and that's what this team does. This team comes in, things aren't working for them, and they find a way to win. Things were working for them early on, though. Like we said, that right after that first inning, we thought this game was a wrap already. You had the Diamondbacks just come out very hot. Perdomo singled to lead off the game. Then there was a wild pitch on the Rays side. Marte walks, and that's followed by a Corbin Carroll home run, and that's how we kicked things off immediately with the Diamondbacks having a 3-run lead. Christian Walker follows that up. Walker, single, double, triple Walker. He hits dingers. Christian Walker having a day at Chase Field. Christian Walker with his 16th home run. Corbin Carroll with his 17th home run. A lot of D-backs dingers in this one. Marte got in on the home run action later. And it was, like Jesse said, you thought it was going to be a dogfight, and we saw the Diamondbacks continue to put their foot on the pedal. They continued to score runs. And today they did it in yet another different way. Today it was the long ball. Evan Longoria even did it against his home team, his former team. Hit the crap out of a ball, 446 feet.
He always does, man. He never. There's no cheap shots for Evan Longoria. And yeah, with that home run, Evan Longoria became the 70th player in Major League history to have homered against all 30 teams, which is a really incredible accomplishment. I mean, you take into account a really good point that Chris Garagiola made on the radio. We haven't had the balanced schedule in baseball for all that long.
Right.
I mean, literally not long at all, right?
No,
this is the very first year.
So,
and obviously has played, some seasons, a significant portion of his career in both the AL and the NL, which does help. But yeah, just a really incredible what Evan Longoria has done for the Diamondbacks this season. I mean, the man has 11 home runs, Derek. He is on pace at
37
22.
years young.
He's on pace at 22 home runs at age 37, and he only plays starts like every 3 days. It's really incredible.
He flashed the leather today. He played some great defense as well. So it's not like he's not washed, and he's not a bad option for them. And we kind of had our episode where we discussed the Diamondbacks picking him up. We didn't really know how he was going to fit in, but I'm sure we didn't think he was going to contribute this much or even play this much. But he really has with some of the changes they've made, with Josh Rojas being sent down to AAA. It's really great to see Longoria doing the damn thing. And I mean, what a great story. Like, you can't make this stuff up where he hits his 30th home run against the team that he essentially was a huge part of, that he's still kind of beloved by. And, I'm sure that they kind of like that it was, that they got to see that Evan Longoria, is still playing, and they got to see him, hit this home run against the final team that he didn't get one against. But he's just become, this team gets contributions from all over the place. Ketel Marte, though, not enough is said about how good Marte has been this season. His numbers don't jump out at you. They're still very good, and compared to other second basemen, he's up there as one of the top offensive second basemen.
His numbers jump out at you at this point, Derek.
Well, yeah,
a 900 OPS from a second baseman. Come on now,
and he's got his 20th. He reaches base for 20th straight game, and it is his second time this season. He just had one game against the Braves where he didn't reach base. Yeah. If not, he would have like a 49 game on base streak right now, or 50 even, if he would have gotten it in that game. But to have 2 streaks so far this season, and we're not even Tomorrow is the halfway point for the year. We're not even there yet, and he has already had 2 streaks like this. He's just been an absolutely huge part of their offense and continues to just kind of do it under the radar, right? Like, you just don't hear Ketel talked about right now.
In June, he is hitting 333, 460, 654.
Oh my God.
Which is ridiculous. He has an 11-14 OPS in June. We talked about it a little bit on the show yesterday. If it weren't for Fernando Tatis, he'd really have a pretty clear shot at the NL Player of the Month award. Honestly, if he has a few more games like he had today, he might still have a shot at the NL Player of the Month award for June when it's all said and done. But yeah, we talked about it the other day as well. Ketel Marte coming into the year, one of the biggest X factors for this team. There's a lot of ceiling here. The player that he can be when he's at his best. And this is the year where he's really put it all together. And it's not just against lefties, right? We've seen a version of Ketel where he just absolutely destroys left-handed pitching. And against righties, he just kind of hangs in there and is more of a league average sort of guy. But yeah, it's unbelievable what he's doing from both sides of the plate right now. And I know some people are saying it in the comments. I think we're at the point, Derek, where if Ketel Marte is not an all-star, we've got some problems, right? Luis Arias.
We riot. We absolutely riot.
We grab our pitchforks and our torches.
Luis Arias deserves to start the All-Star game. I'm not gonna go there. But I think it's pretty clear that Ozzie Albies is doing some good things. Nolan Gorman, there's some good second basemen in the National League. But when you're getting a 900 OPS from your second baseman, it's really, really impressive.
There weren't a lot of guys when you were voting for players that had a 900 OPS on that list. Let me tell you, I can think of a few of them off the top of my head that had 900 or better as far as their OPS is concerned. But Marte, just loving what that guy does, and of course. He also just has a very fun attitude. I was talking with Mark, the clubhouse, I don't know, security guard, you want to say? I don't know.
Yeah.
Mark's he's the host. He's our clubhouse host. But we were talking about how much fun this team is having right now, right? And one of the guys that you see having the most fun at times is Marte. He's joking around with his teammates. He's joking around with the opposition. He just looks like a kid that's out there playing baseball and loving every minute of it. And it's great to see. But when we talk about kids going out there and playing the game, let's talk about Corbin Carroll. Home run number 17, 44 RBI this year. And of course, that dinger, he's our king snake. He is our king snake. He's our favorite baby boy. And this man continues to be incredible. It's just amazing how fast, when you watch Corbin Carroll with his teammates, how fast they have just become this team that kind of looks up to him. He is entirely too young of a player for him to kind of have kind of the aura about him that he does. But I think everybody in the clubhouse knows that he's a very special player.
Yeah, it's incredible what Corbin has accomplished this year. We've talked about it so many times, but you just can't really say enough about what he's done. And he's been going through it at the plate lately, right? There have been a couple slumps that Corbin has gone through this season, and I think in each of them, people kind of wondered, all right, is this sort of when the league is figuring him out a little bit, right? Which is a real thing for young players. Sometimes guys come up and they dominate for a few weeks, and then the wheels kind of come off once opposing teams figure out what their weaknesses are. They haven't figured that out yet, Derek, with Corbin Carroll. Yeah. And that home run, these are not all cheap homers, right? That was off the batter's eye in center field. The sound that it made off the bat in Chase Field was incredible. He got more MVP chants today at Chase Field, which is always cool to see.
And the
as
purple
well.
hair was, it was something that was kind of silly, and look at me saying purple hair is silly. That's ironic. But they were having such a fun time with it. Corbin was rocking it. We saw Alec Thomas rocking the purple hair. And again, going back to what I was saying about Ketel, there's something about the way this team is just having fun and enjoying playing baseball. It's such a different mood than the last few seasons, being around that clubhouse and have everything be so somber. They're playing really good baseball, and a big part of it, I think, is because they're playing really loose, and they just have a great group of guys over there. So tonight was a complete win. Tonight was an absolute complete win for this team because Zac Gallen had one really terrible inning, And I felt like in other cases, we've seen this team fall apart when Zac Gallen isn't at his absolute best. Tonight, they just really proved that they can hang with the best teams in baseball and can beat them, you know? And again, Zac Gallen, win number 10. It's crazy. Still can't believe it.
We're basically at the halfway point of the season. So Zac Gallen is on a 20-win pace right now, which is it's pretty crazy. I mean, I don't think the Diamondbacks have had a 20-game winner, I want to say, since Ian Kennedy back in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Zach Greinke did it. I don't think Patrick Corbin did it or Robbie Ray. So, yeah, I mean, it's been more than a decade since we've seen that happen. A long way to go, but Zach has a chance to do that. The other thing I'll say is that even though wins are a stupid stat and they shouldn't matter in Cy Young voting, they absolutely still do.
They do, and they have to.
And
they didn't matter back then when our guys were good. Now they matter. Now they have to matter. Now they have to matter.
If he gets to 20 wins, I mean, you know, even if he's maybe not at the top of the league and some other stuff, that really could go a long way in helping his case. So obviously we're a long way from that, but 10 wins at this point in the season is really impressive.
It's odd. It's kind of like the MVP where like there does have to be a factor of the team winning and being successful in order for that to factor in, right? And a Cy Young should
I still kind of think is dumb, but
well, I get you because it's the most valuable player, right?
Yeah,
but
and baseball is not the kind of sport where it's like, you had that player, but you weren't good. Yeah. Like, that player must not be very good. It's like, no.
The Angels.
Yeah, have you watched Angels baseball the last decade? Like, you can't be pointing the finger at either Ohtani or Trout for any of the problems they've had in recent years. So
very true.
But I digress.
Yeah. Zone in Arizona says they were having fun, but were they having teenage dirtbag levels of fun? I don't think so. Maybe the Tampa Bay Rays were too loose before the game because in their little workout area, they were blaring the song Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus. And of course, they were also singing along to it at full volume. And I got quite the thrill out of that. It's a good chorus. It's hard not to sing that chorus. But anyway. We thank you guys for being here. Of course, if you're here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our shows go live. Leave us a little thumbs up. We all appreciate that. And most importantly, if you're listening on your favorite audio podcasting app, subscribe there as well, even if you've done the YouTube thing. Subscribe everywhere, on every device, on everywhere you go. And also leave us a review. We always appreciate that feedback. We'd love you to get a PHNX Diehard membership and become part of the PHNX family. You can get that over at gophnx.com. Not only will you get a free piece of merchandise from the phnxlocker.com, 20% off all future purchases, you will also get a free gift certificate from Mountain Mike's for $50 worth of pizza or wings. You also get yourself a Dobson Ranch card, which will get you like free driving range access and all sorts of wonderful benefits and so much more. You also get Jesse's newsletter, Full Count. You get access to our members-only Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan, discounts with our partners, exclusive merchandise, and so much more. So sign up today to become a member over at gophnx.com. And also, download the BetMGM app, become part of the BetMGM society, and make yourself some money. I was on bets today, and you bet your ass I'm going to brag about the fact that I went 3 for 4 on my bets today. So if you're not stopping by PHNX Bets and checking out what I have to offer when I'm making donuts in the bakery, then you're missing out on free money. But you can also make yourself some more money over at the BetMGM with their official fun Swing for the Fences game, which will get you some wonderful add-ons, and of course is a free-to-play game until September 7th. All you have to do is be a batter and pick an area of the strike zone. Depending on the area of the strike zone you choose, you will get a single, a double, a triple, a home run, or a pop-out, and you will receive the prize associated with that type of hit. The prizing must be used on MLB and it expires in 24 hours, so don't wait to use it. If you haven't signed up for the BetMGM app yet, use bonus code PHNX. When you do, there's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, place your first bet offer and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses with BetMGM. Again, make sure you use bonus code PHNX. Check out the show notes for full details, and now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Disclaimer, 21 plus to wager. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in Washington, D.C., Mississippi, Nevada, New York, and Ontario. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369, New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, Arizona. 1-800-522-4700, Kansas, Nevada. 1-800-327-5050, Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF, Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help, Michigan.
Well, we have some transactions to discuss that we haven't brought up, but we did have some breaking news earlier today. Relief pitcher Justin Martinez was called up to make his major league debut, as well as Kevin Ginkel, who we've talked about quite a bit as far as kind of scratching our heads as to why Kevin Ginkel was sent down. But it was the, I guess the corresponding moves that were a bit surprising.
Yes.
Not surprising was Joe Mantiply being sent down because we knew that was potentially an option. But what was surprising was finding out that Merrill Kelly has been added to the 15-day IL, retroactive to, I believe, the 25th of June. So
Correct.
after
Yes.
his last start with right calf inflammation. And apparently, according to Torey Lovullo, he has a blood clot in his right calf, which isn't great considering we know that Merrill has suffered from blood clots in the past, right?
Yeah. He had thoracic outlet syndrome, right? That's what ended his 2020 season, went into 2021. That was, thoracic outlet surgery is, as I wrote last year, is one of the more risky procedures a pitcher can have. He obviously has come back, even better than he was before, which is remarkable. But yeah, Torey said that this incident is not at all related to that. So as far as we know, there's no connection whatsoever with a thoracic outlet situation. This is something that very similar thing happened with Ian Kennedy last year. Ian Kennedy, I believe it was July 4th of last year, hit the injured list, also with right calf inflammation. And the explanation then was also that Ian Kennedy had a small blood clot in his lower right leg, which is what's happening here with Merrill Kelly.
Torey Lovullo didn't seem overly concerned. Here's what he had to say about this injury and Merrill Kelly missing time.
It's very similar to what Ian Kennedy had last year, if you can remember correctly, that Ian missed a very short period of time. First of all, I thought it was a great catch by the medical team to understand that there was a little bit of discomfort and inflammation in there, that we should get it checked out. And on the level that we did, there was a small clot in there, and we feel like Merrill, obviously missing the 15 days and been placed on the disabled list. He'll be able to step back into the arena and compete as soon as possible.
And he did not set a timetable for his return, but It does sound like Merrill Kelly will most likely miss the rest of the first half of the season. He probably won't make his return until after the All-Star break, which is 2 weeks from today, in fact, or at least the All-Star game itself is 2 weeks from today. So that kind of checks out as far as Kelly would probably have maybe, 2 more starts or 3 more starts between now and then?
Yeah, something like that. If you do the math, I don't think he could be activated in time to have him start before the All-Star break. So yeah, you can pretty much, the soonest you could possibly see Merrill Kelly at this point is after the All-Star break. I believe the D-backs are in Toronto that weekend after the All-Star break. So, but yeah, Torey didn't put a firm timetable on this, so we don't know exactly how long it's going to last, but everything was pretty optimistic. Torey's made it sound, he very much drew a close comparison, as you heard there, to what happened with Ian Kennedy last year. Ian Kennedy was on the injured list for 16 days last season. So this isn't like a deep, dark despair sort of moment. There are a lot of worse things that could happen here. This is Merrill Kelly, missing a couple of starts here as we get into the All-Star break, and that's okay. The Diamondbacks can find a way to make up for that as long as he's not out too much longer. We all know the lack of depth in this starting rotation and the importance of Merrill Kelly, and the fact that the Diamondbacks, even with Merrill Kelly, still need to add a starting pitcher, at least one, at the trade deadline.
So to answer the question from the chat earlier, why is Zach Davies still on this team? That's why.
Yeah, could you imagine if this happened and Zach Davies was already gone? Maybe some people, I'm sure there's some people who are like, I'd still rather have Blake Walston or whomever come up from AAA.
Very similar to the Mad Bum situation, where you're like, I don't care who you replace him with some guy you pick up off the street. Like, it doesn't matter at this point because anything's got to be better. But it's not, and Zach Davies is still somebody that can help the Diamondbacks get to that trade deadline and take up some innings. It's not the best option for them right now, but I don't feel like they internally want to give up on Davies as much as fans want to give up on Davies, and it's understandable. We are way less patient. Somebody tonight tweeted to us that they needed to send Zac Gallen down. So that's just the kind of reaction that you get from people sometimes. It's not based on any kind of actual reasoning or thought process. It's just
there are
pure reaction, pure angry reaction.
There are different levels of that, though, right?
There are definitely.
Like wanting to DFA Zach Davies is not on the same level of craziness as wanting to demote
Fire
Zac
Lavallo! That guy, that guy always shows up in our mentions when a game is on the line or they're losing. But
right.
Justin Martinez got called up, and I tell you this much: I have done this for a very long time. I've covered this team now for way longer than I even want to admit. But it's still never gets old seeing the joy in a young man's eyes when he is up, when he is here, when he has made it to the major league level. This is the goal, the dream they've had since they've been a little kid. And to see them accomplish that goal, to kind of be present and be able to be around their joy is definitely something special for me still.
Yeah, it really is cool. And yeah, I mean, we talked about Justin Martinez a little bit yesterday and everything that he brings to this team. I wrote a story right around game time about Justin Martinez and what he brings to the Diamondbacks. I'll probably tweet that out again in the morning. We didn't get to see him make his big league debut in this game today. But yeah, I mean, the man in his last game in Reno, Derek, he averaged 101 with his four-seam fastball.
That's the average, folks.
That's the average. He topped out at 102.5 in his last appearance in Reno. And what I wrote about is that, oddly enough, his fastball is actually not really a swing and miss pitch for him.
It's not.
He really doesn't get whiffs on his four-seam fastball all that much at all. His whiff rate on his four-seam fastball almost identical to the whiff rate on Scott McGuff's 94 mile an hour fastball.
And we know how sexy that is,
yes,
right?
I guess
Are we right?
That doesn't really make my point, but yeah, you guys understand where I'm going with that.
Make sure to check that out. We're not going to give away the whole article, but it's very fascinating. Jesse and I talked a lot about like his fastball and not having a real vertical ride. There's a lot of things to it that it
turns out that throwing 100 miles an hour doesn't necessarily make it like a swing and miss pitch, which is a really weird thing. Like you assume if a guy's pumping 99 or 100, like, oh, no one can hit that, right? Yeah. But no, major league hitters are very good and have seen that before, and they can do it as long as the fastball has like kind of a normal shape, kind of a predictable shape.
Yeah. Right.
And Justin Martinez has that to a certain extent. So
it has a little bit of a drop to it, and
it's a little more of a sinker, kind of a four-seam fastball. Yeah.
But it's still very exciting. And again, something that the Arizona Diamondbacks really needed was some reinforcements. We saw Kevin Ginkel in tonight's game. Kevin Ginkel picked right up where he left off, and this guy just. Again, we talk about parts of this team that work really well that don't really get the credit they deserve. Kevin Ginkel absolutely did not deserve to get shut down on the way, or to get sent down based on the way he was pitching. And tonight he proved that he deserves to be back up on the major league roster.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, we were talking yesterday about how weird it was that the Diamondbacks, as of yesterday, we didn't know the full story yet, right? We kind of knew that Justin Martinez was going to be called up, but we didn't know that Kevin Ginkel was going to be called up, and that was weird because we were like,
why not Kevin Ginkel? Why would you
call up a new arm when Kevin Ginkel is just sitting there?
Right.
But now it makes sense, right? You have Merrill Kelly going to the injured list. You might as well bring up two bullpen arms instead of one. So we get both of those guys up at the same time. And yeah, Kevin Ginkel, I mean, the man deserves to be a big leaguer, and you kind of felt for the guy when he was sent down. And frankly, it's only going to get more challenging to nail down a job in this bullpen as we go into the trade deadline, right? The Diamondbacks are probably going to make a move or two, and it's going to, it's going to make it even harder. It's going to make it even more competitive to nail down those jobs. So you have to appreciate what Kevin Ginkel has done with the opportunities he's had.
G1's in the chat. Let's go, Dan. G1. And Zone in Arizona says Corbin Carroll is taking hundreds of pitches a day with his VR headset and win reality at 100 plus miles per hour. Corbin Carroll doesn't sleep. He just trains nonstop. He just stays awake at all times, just training. We do have some more information. You guys trying to get ahead of us? We got your probables for this series.
We
But
have an idea of who's going to make that start.
we
on
have
Thursday.
an idea. We have a sneaking suspicion. But I did want to say, like, of course, one thing that was beautiful tonight was seeing the bullpen work the way it should. 3 innings, the bullpen gave up 1 hit, and that's all that they gave up. Talk about an uneventful end to a game against one of the best teams in the American League. Now, we don't want to, like, let's pump our brakes a little bit because the Rays have actually not been very good lately. They haven't been great lately. They've just been kind of mediocre, playing sub 500 baseball when you factor in this game in their last 10. But still a very dangerous team, and still a team that the Diamondbacks really need to, win, I guess you could say. They need to prove that they can beat these best teams, because sometimes when they've had these tests, they have not passed them. When you look at the Braves and even the series against the San Francisco Giants that they just salvaged that last game out of.
Yeah, I mean, your pitching matchup today was definitely better than what the pitching matchups are probably going to be the rest of the way.
Especially knowing now that Merrill Kelly is on the 15-day IL.
Yes.
We know we will not see him in this series. But
this was a big game for the Diamondbacks to win with Zac Gallen on the mound, right? We talked about there have been some other games that they've played recently where it was like, all right, this is the one that you had to get, right? Like the game that Gallen pitched in Milwaukee, or on the flip side, like the Logan Webb game for the Giants, right? Like that's the game they're supposed to win, and they did, and the Diamondbacks were able to pull that off today.
Chris says, I will take no salt on any tasty win. You're absolutely right. We're keeping things positive around here. And of course, if you want to go check out potentially Justin Martinez's debut in tomorrow's game, make sure to join us. You can get your tickets through Game Time. Game Time is not only a beautiful, aesthetically pleasing app, but it is the app to get last-minute ticket deals. It's the fastest-growing ticket app in the country. For a reason, you can snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute ticket deals, lowest price guaranteed. And, of course, for all of you procrastinators out there, just go download the app now. Just have it on hand, ready to go for the next time you get FOMO for missing out on an event. Of course, another great partner of ours is our friends over at Saturday Neon, which is a great story. We talk about great stories. Corbin Carroll going to the All-Star game, great story. Evan Longoria hitting his final home run against all 30 teams against the Tampa Bay Rays, great story. Company started by 2 friends that makes officially licensed collegiate logo LED neon signs. Also a great story. Whether you're a diehard fan or a casual supporter of college sports, you'll love the way these signs light up your space. And of course, give you an amazing background for your Zoom calls, for your podcast. I hope it's not a competing baseball podcast, and so much more. So great for offices and gifts. It's a great gift. Makes a great gift. So go to SaturdayNeon.com and you can use code PHNX for 10% off your order today. Free shipping for all orders over $200. Damon, let's take a look at those probable pitchers for this series, because we have no idea what we're going to see. This is just a guess now. This is an educated guess. Zach Davies starting tomorrow, and we are throwing it out there that we think we will see Brandon Pfaadt start in the finale of this series against the Rays. Jesse, what are we doing here?
I think we know. I don't want to. I mean, this is not official. If you go on the At Bat app, or I guess just called the MLB app, you're not going to see Brandon Pfaadt listed as the probable starter for Thursday. That's us taking some liberties of our own.
That is correct.
But it's pretty obvious. I specifically asked today. I asked Tori about Tommy Henry and whether the Diamondbacks are looking to move him into the bullpen potentially this turn through the rotation, just given that they are skipping him by starting Zach Davies tomorrow. And Tori frankly said no. He is not an option to pitch out of the bullpen. Tori also specifically said that Tommy will pitch in that series against the Angels. Tori also went out and said that he's basically viewing Merrill's spot as being on Thursday, and that the Diamondbacks will bring in a starter to take that spot on Thursday. Derek, Brandon Pfaadt is going to start on Thursday.
Let's go, Jesse.
I think it is abundantly clear. You don't love looking at this probable starters graphic and seeing a 7.82 ERA followed by an 8.37. But Brandon Pfaadt has pitched better of late down in Reno, and no injury is well timed. But I do think that Brandon Pfaadt deserves an opportunity back up here, and he'll get that on Thursday against the best offense in baseball. So good luck, kid.
And all of you that said bad things about Zach Davies, if he has a good start, you got to come back to the show tomorrow and apologize. That's the way that works. But I don't know what we'll see out of Zach Davies, because that's probably been the biggest problem. Davies at times has actually looked like a very capable, competitive pitcher. And then at other times, he looks like he absolutely is a detriment to this team and their success. So who knows which Zach Davies will stand up tomorrow. But what we do know is this very podcast, continues to maintain our lead in the most important division. I don't know. Do we say that anymore?
I think the NL West is clearly the most important division.
The NL West is pretty important, but
last year the All-City division was the most important division.
But it's still very important to me for bragging rights over the other shows. We still have a 9.5 game lead, folks. We've really lost the White Sox and the Rockies. They've just kind of drifted out of the picture.
Did you know that the Rockies won that series against the Angels?
I did know. I heard
the
that.
Rockies had an amazing weekend. They lost the game 25-1, and they still won the series, right?
Man,
that's like the definition of like lost the battle but won the war.
The war. Yeah.
And you really got your teeth kicked in that battle, but somehow you still won the war.
The D-backs have a couple series this year. When we took a look at behind the numbers after everything was said and done, there were quite an ass kicking, but yet somehow the Diamondbacks came out with 2 wins in the series. And if the atmosphere at Chase Field was anything like it was tonight for the remaining games, I don't know how the Diamondbacks can lose, because the atmosphere at Chase Field was electric. It was incredible. And of course, I think the biggest thing about the atmosphere being like the way it was tonight was the fact that it's the Rays. They don't have that fan base that you expect an electric atmosphere at Chase Field to have, especially like some sort of split crowd when it's like a Dodgers matchup or it's a Cubs game or something like that. This was a lot of Arizona Diamondbacks fans coming out to support, and to be honest, it was great to see. It was great to see.
It was a good environment. Yeah, it was like 23,351, something like that. I was on Rock and Manooch talking D-backs earlier today, and they asked me what I thought the attendance would be this week, which I was like, oh man, I don't know. It's the middle of the week, right?
Yeah.
Middle of the week against the Tampa Bay Rays, a team that does not draw well on their own. It's kind of a recipe for disaster from an attendance standpoint.
Yeah.
But you can kind of sense in the ballpark that fans are starting to catch on what the Diamondbacks are doing. They're starting to get behind this team, which it seems like in past years, that's something we haven't seen until later in the season. People are like very skeptical in the first few months of the year, and you don't really see the attendance tick up until like August or September.
Yeah.
We're seeing it a little earlier this year. The D-backs up to this point last season, I think were around 19,000 on average at Chase Field. And this year they're around 21,000. So there's been a little bit of an uptick, and I think that will continue in the months to come.
And if you need more reasons to come out, again, the crowd was very pro Diamondback. So I know sometimes it's annoying to come out to Chase Field when the stadium is going to be filled with opposing fans. I understand that. I get that. We feel that at times when we're there. We're like, oh my God, like, calm it down. All right, you're visitors in an opposing ballpark. Like, literally taking over the chants, especially the 7th inning chant. You're a monster if you do that. But
we could have done without the wave, though. There was like a 6th or 7th inning wave at the ballpark, and it was like, come on now, the game is still close.
Don't make me tap the sign again.
And people were really into it. Like it was not a lackluster wave. It was one of the most impassioned waves I've ever seen.
Do not get me started.
Don't even get me started on the wave.
My things in life.
Damon's buttons.
The 2 things Damon hates the most in life: James Outman and the wave. That's 1 and 2. Maybe
wave.
1A, 1B. I don't know, but I will tell you this much: Saul is here. Saul is here because the Diamondbacks are a wagon. If Don Saul is here, the rest of you should be here too. Come on out for these games. The Diamondbacks are absolutely a wagon, though, and I think that again, when you talk about Zac Gallen starting, we know that this game was kind of like. This is their best chance to win a game in the series. But what they did tonight to pick Zac Gallen up was pretty impressive. And I think that that's something we've seen out of this team all season long. They legitimately can tell when their starting pitcher is struggling, and they try to do stuff to back him up. They try to pick him up. They try to get those extra runs in. And so far, they've figured out a way to continue to win. We are looking at a team that won their 48th game. We could be talking about 49 wins in the first 100, or I'm sorry, first 61 games of, or my math's all right.
Yeah, I don't think any of those numbers were right.
81 games of the season.
There it is.
I got it. I'll get it eventually, but it's just impressive. We are very close to the Diamondbacks matching their season win total for 2021. Right. We are 4 games away from that now.
We are 4 games away from that.
4 games away from them matching their entire total for 2021. I still can't get over that. But in other news, by the way, we just want to give a quick shout out. Eduardo Escobar became a U.S. citizen. So shout out to spying on our exes a little bit. We want to do it in a positive way when we can. So shout out to Eduardo Escobar, who is now on the Angels. And we will get to see him in this next series after they take on the Rays. So
the Angels making moves over there.
They are. The Angels are making moves.
The hot stove is hot, Derek. Eduardo Escobar traded to the Angels.
That was the key piece that they needed to put them over
now
the edge
that
of the
you
AL
just
West.
need that first big chip to drop, and now it's it's going to be 8 trades tomorrow.
Oh, I can't wait. So anyway, if you where next stop Anaheim on Saturday, is that what we're doing? Is it an away game or are they here? I forget. Is the Angels series in Anaheim?
It's in Anaheim.
Okay,
yeah,
maybe. Yeah, road trips are great. You know that. And of course, it's getting toasty here in the Valley, so it's a great time to escape. But if you're not escaping, we're looking forward to what OG's has to offer this summer. Pink lemonade gummies are here, and they are incredible. They are limited edition, and they are now available. It's a fresh, tangy lemon with a hint of red berry and plenty of sugar. And of course, they're all about flavoring life, and they're about flavoring your edibles and making your edibles taste delicious. So it doesn't matter what kind you get. They have a wide variety to choose from, including a sleep edition gummy, their Happy Balance gummy, and more. They also have a wide variety of flavors for you to choose from. So make sure to not miss out on those. Sometimes the only problem with OG's is actually finding them in stock somewhere. But you can find them at dispensaries all across the Valley. OG's doesn't miss when it comes to flavor and effect. So get your pink lemonade gummies while you can. Check out OG's online at ogsbrands.com or on Instagram at ogsbrands. You can also find their products at your local dispensary. Must be 21 years or older to purchase. And also, speaking of purchasing, they're sold out. Their Chase Lounges were probably limited edition, or the just run got crazy because of this guy promoting them. But More Furniture does have a wide variety of other furniture for you to pick from. That's not just a Chase Lounge. So make sure to buy whatever you need for your home over at morefurniture.com and have it delivered to you with their white glove delivery service, which we got for our office. And I can't imagine bringing any furniture up these stairs or in these elevators. So thank God they were there for us. But you can save big on the best furniture in the Valley when you head to morefurniture.com. Before we get out of here, we want to take a look at those probables one more time. Jesse did want to bring up one point in regards to Zach Davies and Brandon Pfaadt.
Yeah, actually sort of about Tommy Henry and the fact that the Diamondbacks kind of inexplicably skipped him, like we talked about before. Just want to touch on that real quick. It was brought to my attention that the Tampa Bay Rays this season are 12-4 against lefties, whereas the Los Angeles Angels are 8-14. So if you've got a lefty and you got a righty, the numbers say you should have the righty start against the Rays and then save the lefty to start against the Angels.
Torrey's playing the long game here? What is happening?
That's my guess. It is pretty weird
Yeah.
because Tommy Henry's going to be pitching on like tons of rest. They might have to have him throw some sort of an extra side session to make sure he stays fresh for that game. He pitched on the 22nd last, I believe. So he's going to be on like a full week or more, depending on which day exactly they are. It's going to be more than a week. It's going to be at least Friday. It's a
little bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's like 7 days rest at least for Tommy Henry. So a bit of a weird scheduling move there, but yeah, that is my guess as to why the Diamondbacks made that move and why we won't see Tommy Henry, we don't think, in this series.
I'm very sorry to Reformed Skid, who once again kind of gets shafted on his tickets to the game and who's starting. But hey, fingers crossed, we see Zach Davies make his best start of the year and rebound from some pretty bad ones. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. We will keep you posted and up to date on everything Diamondbacks related. I'm at Cap_caveman with a K. This maniac is Jesse N. Friedman on Twitter. The other maniac behind the Mac is Damon Dog. That's Damon, D-A-W-G, and you got to do a little at the end. Of course.
How did you become the only sane one here, Derek?
Because
we're the maniacs, and the guy with purple hair is totally normal.
It's ridiculous.
I'm piloting the ship.
Derek's the sane one.
That's right.
Clearly. The man
guy
with
with
purple
purple
hair
hair.
is clearly the normal guy.
I am obviously the normal one here. This man tried to say I was a small child, basically, and he won't even make himself a lunch that he can't eat immediately.
I'll make it. I just will be miserable while I'm making
the
it.
4 hours that he has to wait until he eats a sandwich are going to be the worst 4 hours of his life. Our Twitter account is a lot of fun. If you're not following it already, that's over at PHNX_Dbacks. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for staying up late, hanging out with us. We appreciate your time on behalf of this crew. We thank you so much for stopping by. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you have purple hair.